Hello, I'm Harrison Fletcher. I love talking to people and I love my industry. So I wanted to be a little bit selfish. I wanted to start a podcast that felt like an open but honest conversation, one that explores all sides of the industry. This podcast gets very real very fast. It's open, it's honest, it's vulnerable. It's for you. Hello, welcome back to the Insight Podcast. I'm sat here with a very, very exciting guest. She's flown all the way over from the beautiful Portugal. She's Portuguese, the home of Nando's. For the video viewers, you may have noticed that I'm sat on the opposite side of the table to what I normally sit at. That is because Ella's got a preferred side. And, you know, she's come all the way over from Portugal. The least I can do is sit at the other end of the table. So that's why it's a little bit different today. So, Ella, if you'd like to give us a little introduction and tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, hi. I'm Ella, based in Porto, in Portugal, and I'm a destination wedding photographer.
Just for a little bit of context, we met at a wedding last year.
Yeah.
That's right,
in June.
In June, yeah, in France, of all places. So you were from Portugal, I'm from England, and we met in France.
In the south of France.
Yeah, and it were a good day, a good wedding.
It was a beautiful wedding. The bride was stunning. I always say the same. Every time I look back into those photos, she was very beautiful. And we shot at a really lovely little chateau. And yeah, we had fun.
And we spent a few days there, and it were nice. Unfortunately, we didn't quite get the weather we was hoping for.
No.
But
that happens.
That's weddings. That's what happens. So yeah, I would like to quickly just jump right in and just let's get straight to it, because I think a lot of people will be interested in this episode. So I'd just like to talk to you briefly about life before weddings. What was Ella doing? What was she up to? I know you've told me a little bit, but yeah, fill the viewers in. Let's paint a picture. What was life before weddings?
Life before photography and weddings was a little hectic. I lived in London, so yeah. I moved to England, and I lived here for a while, and I was working with coffee, so nothing related to photography really. And back in Portugal, before moving to England, I was working with wine, so again, nothing related to the business. And then at the time when I was living in England, I had to go back to Portugal suddenly because of the cancer diagnosis that I've had. And basically I stayed in Portugal for treatment and everything. And after I was cleared up to move back to London, because that chapter of mine was basically taken away from me, was not closed by me. And I needed to come back and keep living that chapter of my life. And then eventually, if I wanted to go back home, it would be on my own terms. And after my treatment finished and the doctor gave me the clear to move on with my life, basically, I moved my flights back to England on April 1st, 2020.
Yeah. Oh, there we go. So there was hope, but then all of a sudden,
exactly,
the dreaded C word came along, COVID.
So basically, my flights kept being cancelled and I didn't end up moving back to England, and I just stayed back in Portugal, and everyone was in lockdown, and I had to figure out what I wanted to do in my life from then on. We spent too long locked inside thinking about our future, our lives, and it was frightening. Yeah. To imagine a future, really. So that's when I thought I should do something new. I should start a new passion, because I've always loved photography since I was a child. I was always taking pictures. And back home, the Portuguese Institute of Photography is basically in my street where I was raised and born. Yeah. So every
foreshadowing.
Year, yeah. And you could take courses there, the professional courses, to then become a photographer and everything, but they were quite pricey, especially for Portuguese wages. So I never got into it really. However, during the pandemic, I just started studying it with YouTube and Google, and
that's what's great, I guess. Like just to quickly jump in, that's what's so great about it, like how. So this was in
2020.
So that's like, even now, that's like 5 years ago. Yeah. So think of all the information that people have if they was to start now. Like, there was a lot of information then, but there's even more, and it's so easy to teach yourself now.
Well, we have ChatGPT now. Back then would be so much better. So much easier to understand what ISO was, aperture. It took me 3 months to figure out
That's pretty quick things. Though. That's pretty good.
Really?
I think so. From like a newbie, to like be in. Obviously, I know we're skipping 5 years, but to be where you are now, like that's like, you know, if it only took you 3 months, I can tell why you've gone on to be like really successful.
It was towards the end of the 2020 that I bought a second-handed camera.
Yeah.
It was a Canon 5D Mark II.
Nice.
The golden camera of back in the days. So I've heard, because I'm not from back in the days, but the reviews and information I've got from it. And I got a 50 millimeter, and I started shooting with it. And when I was handed the camera to me, I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? I don't understand anything. And then it was actually only back forward to 2021 that I started having some little gigs, photo shoots, couple photo shoots, family photo shoots, always outside, on the street, in the city, or going to the beach. And that's what I did throughout 2021. 2020 was just like when I started learning. It started like I was shooting my friends and my family just for a little portfolio. And 2020 I had those little gigs. Suddenly, January 2022, I thought to myself, maybe I really want to try the wedding business. Which, funny enough, when I started studying photography, I always thought I would never get into weddings.
Why?
Because the responsibility of it. I would say no. There's no way I'm ever going to shoot weddings, because imagine if I miss the first kiss. Imagine if anything goes wrong. The responsibility is a huge responsibility, and I thought my anxiety, my nerves would not be able to handle it.
Fair enough.
But throughout 2021, as I started getting more into photography and following photographers, I would see the portfolio of wedding photographers and the pictures, and I fell in love with it, and I thought they were so pretty and such special moments to shoot and to be part of. So I reached out to this wedding company in Portugal, to check if they needed a second shooter. I was like, I don't have any experience. I know nothing.
I need work. I need portfolio.
But they were big. They were set into the business. They've been in the business for over 20 years. So it was really. I'm the kind of person that I'm not afraid to shoot my shots. Because no, it's always guaranteed, right? So I messaged them, and funny enough, at the time there was a team member that I had left just like a week prior to my message. So they invited me to their studio, and they interviewed me. They saw of the work I was doing, which was basically just portraits, really. And they saw some sort of potential in me.
That's great, I mean, I guess doing portraits, like portrait photography, that does go really hand in hand with weddings. Because it's people, it's smiling, it's asking them to do certain things. I suppose it's a little bit of like prompts as well. So you're not always getting them to be super posed, but sometimes you are. So it's like that balance of, that's kind of what weddings are. So that's a really good like way of dipping your toe into the world of weddings without actually shooting a wedding. But that's interesting.
But honestly, because back in 2021, I was meeting a lot of people when doing these little gigs, and I started doing like baptisms and things like that, or some events, and I started meeting a lot of people, and I had a few people booking me for 2021 as their wedding photographer. And honestly, if I could go back, and if I can advise anyone new into the business, if I could give any advice, would be don't do that.
Okay, how come?
Because I think it's too much, again, of a responsibility for you to get into such an important role as a main photographer without having proper experience. And I feel that reflected on what I was doing and the ways that I managed even the business, really.
So were you shooting then on behalf of another company, not under Ella? Ella, you had not got your business established yet.
So basically 2021 I shot mainly as a second shooter. But I did have about 6 weddings of my own. From people that I met throughout 2021. Sorry, then 2022 weddings was in 2022.
I get you. No.
So 2022 was when I got into the wedding business as a second shooter, and then I had a few of my own. Those are the ones that I wish I
held off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I wanted to create portfolio. Obviously, I understand that we need to create portfolio somehow. And when I was second shooting for those companies, I could not use my work.
Okay, right.
So
I get you.
I had to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I understand why I did that. I understand why people do that. But if I could do it differently, I would probably do it differently. Maybe find photographers that they would allow me to second shoot and then use my work.
Yeah.
And then use that for portfolio.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit more difficult, but still possible.
Yeah.
I think I'll do that.
Is that common in Portugal? Because obviously in the UK, I would say, obviously I'm not an expert, obviously shooting video, but most photographers, what I'm aware of, will let their second shooters share the photos, but just way after the lead shooter has shared theirs, if that makes sense. So is that a thing in Portugal as well, or not? Is it more like, if you shoot for me, you can't share?
The majority of the companies are like that, and honestly, I am like that at the moment.
Yeah.
Some allow you to share your work.
Yeah.
Obviously, they do also tend to be like, maybe don't share until I have delivered the wedding.
Yeah.
And then when you share the pictures, make sure you tag me and you say that it was a second shooting gig that you got for this photographer. So some of us do that. What I do, I allow my second shooters to keep the photos for themselves, and if they want to edit and if they want to create a gallery of that one wedding and use as a private portfolio to show their future clients, I'm okay with that. But posting online, as it can create a little bit of a confusion.
Yeah, definitely.
So I personally, agree. I rather them not post the photos online. But the other companies would not. 2022, I don't even have access to those photos at all.
Interesting.
So then 2022, I did a majority of the weddings was a second shooter for this one company, and then a little few of my own. But then 2023, I was exclusively working for this other company, big company in the north of the country, where I was shooting and editing for them. So those pictures, I had access to all of those pictures, mine and the other photographer that was with me, really. But I can't really do anything with them. So I don't even have them anymore because I cannot. I know that they wouldn't be fine with me keeping the pictures and use maybe privately. I never asked actually, but I was like, okay, I cannot share it on my website either anyway. So but it was amazing to gain experience. And I honestly believe, going back to what you said, that being where I'm at, after such a short time, getting into the photography business, I think it was because I took, especially 2023, to just shoot for someone else and not have anything of my own. Also because I couldn't, because I was really exclusively working for them. They wouldn't allow me to shoot anything of my own, wedding wise. But I'm glad I did that, because then I gained experience. I saw what other people were doing. I learned a lot of things. And that gave me all the tools I needed to then last year, 2024, being my first year as a wedding photographer on my own. So wait a minute, you
went on your own last year?
Yeah.
So when we met
last year.
Really, I didn't even know that. That is amazing.
Last year.
Yeah, that is crazy. Wow. So I can't believe that. I'm actually shocked. That shocked me. I think your progression in the industry, to say that like you've come from a background that's not, you weren't really doing photography, to all of a sudden getting into photography, and then within I would say not even 5 years, it's really 3 years, 3 years, that you've just gone whoomp, and it's like this huge like leap of like success. You look like you've been like shooting weddings for 10 years. Like the work is insane. So that's blown my mind.
Thank you. I've been working hard to try to get to a certain level, and I think, and I've always been very active trying to find opportunities for myself, and really taking as much as possible from those opportunities to then grow. I don't really have a lot of patience, so I'm that kind of person that if I want something, I really want to get it. Now.
I can believe it because if you've done this well so far, then I can see that being definitely true. But I just wanted to quickly ask you then. So, do you think that being Portuguese has shaped the way that you shoot weddings or approach weddings?
I think so, regarding maybe the connection that I have with my couples, the way that I approach them, the way that I connect with them. Because in Portugal, our culture it's warmer, right? People are more open, friendlier. I'm not saying you're not.
No, Brits are all miserable, so you're perfectly valid.
I'm not saying that you're not, but culture-wise...
It rains all the time here, though, so that's why. We've got a bit of sun and we're loving it.
Yeah, I brought the sun with me.
Yeah, there you go, yeah.
It's a cultural thing. Some countries are we have our own personalities, and there will be. Here again, you're more quiet, you're more reserved.
Definitely.
You're also very lovely and polite in everything. I've lived here. I've loved living in England, and I have a lot of English friends. So it has nothing to do. Oh, I'm nicer than you. No, it's just like culture-wise, we're more open.
No, I can see it. Yeah.
I meet you tomorrow in a street in Porto, and for no reason, within 5 seconds, I'm asking you, "Oh, come have dinner with my family tonight."
Yeah.
You know, we're very.
That definitely would not
way.
happen in any city in the UK.
That's the thing about Portuguese people, especially from the north, where I'm from.
Yeah.
And I think that really does play a role in.
It's got to do. It's got to, Ante. It's got to. If that's culturally how you are, then it's got to seep through into how you work and approach a wedding.
It really does, because then I have a different way to work around the wedding day and to connect with the couples. So by the wedding day, I'm basically friends with almost all of my couples, and that does play a huge role. Obviously, you have to be able to shoot and to produce amazing work, regardless if you're good friends with your clients or not, or if you know them or not. But if you can create that certain level of intimacy and connection, somehow it will show afterwards, even if by how comfortable the bride is going to be in front of me or the groom. So I think that in that way, being Portuguese, it play a role in the way that I approach things. I don't look at my couples as just a number.
That's a good way of looking at it.
I think a lot of people like to talk about how expensive weddings are and how vendors just ask for so much money and everything. Well, because we are worth that money, first of all, and we do want to make money. I am very open about that. I want to make money, obviously.
Well, that's it. No one gets into this line of work to do it for free. Like, obviously, it's a business, and that's a perfectly valid thing to say. Like, businesses make money, so that's. But
and you can make a lot of money within wedding photography, and I want to make a lot of more money in the future. But regardless of how much money I'm asking the couples, the point of what I was saying is I will never look at my couples as just another number, another wedding, just another booking. They're special for me.
There's two sides, There's the personal side and then there's the business side.
Exactly.
And obviously sometimes those have to meet, cross over and sort of get woven together.
I think it's probably, I don't know if it's a me thing or a cultural thing. I do believe that being from Porto and from Portugal, from the north, and the way that we are as people in general does play a role with me being like that with my couples in my business. But maybe just a me thing, I don't know.
Well, how would you then describe your photography style? Obviously, we've talked about you've started pretty much, you're fairly new. So you've started in sort of like 2021-ish, I guess, and then now we're in 2025. So you've gone on this sort of like 4 or 5 year journey. How would you now describe your photography style?
Mainly documentary style.
Yep.
And so that says a lot. It's just documentary is very relaxed. But I do fall towards editorial nowadays. I love the editorial style. So
which is worldwide is just like super popular, trendy.
And I love it. It's so beautiful.
It's a great vibe for a wedding.
The magazine styles and everything. But obviously you cannot really apply that to every couple. So
of course can't.
What I say to my couples, and if you go on my website, it's pretty much says in there, I do mainly documentary. I will fit in editorial if you guys allow me, basically. If that's your vibe, if that's not the way that I shoot on the day. Again, it's very relaxed. I don't like to impose too much, other than obviously maybe on the bride shoot those 10 minutes after she's ready. Then I will like a few portraits here and there, and then I will direct her a little bit more, or the groom, and then their 15 minutes shoot in the end of the afternoon.
Yeah,
that's the only time that I really like get in there and I try to direct a little bit, because they need guidance as well.
It's very similar to how I approach weddings. So I always say to couples when I have a chat with them, it's like, I think couples today, they are very influenced by what they see online. So I think they want to have the posy, nice shots, but I don't think they sometimes realise what goes into it and how much that can actually take away from the day. So I try to always say that I try and strike a balance, literally what you've just said. And it's about knowing when to get involved. Like you've just said, at the end of bride prep, like you want to get involved and you want to sort of, say for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, can we just get you near this nice window light, and can we just do this for a little 15-minute session? But then the rest of the day I try to most of the time try and take a step back, shoot it quite candidly, quite documentary style. So I think that's how most people do approach it today, which is the best. I think it's like that is like the right way to do it. I think if you're too documentary, then you sort of you're missing out on moments that the bride and groom might want, and afterwards they might be like, oh, we wanted more of that, like posy. And then if it's too posy, it's like you're taking away from them spending time with the family and the friends and the guests. So that's
the thing. I think we need to set like a healthy amount of direction, and the way that we really impose also, because we want to create things that we also love, right? Because the portfolio is important for us. So in every wedding, I'm sure it might happen with you as well. If we're going to shoot in this venue, I already know what I want to do as well as a wedding photographer, that I want to keep for myself, that I want to have as a portfolio.
Interestingly though, just to quickly jump in again, I think that that's a really great thing that you've just said, because a lot of people in England and the UK are quite shy when it comes to that. They would say that that's like a bad way to look at it, and that it should always be all for the couple. But I think the couple are paying you to do your job. So if they trust in you, your judgment on what you're going to do and direct them. So I think that's like perfectly valid. I think the couple would be disappointed if you didn't take advantage of their lovely venue that they've spent thousands of pounds on, and tens of thousands of pounds doing like with big decorations and flowers and dresses, and like they want you to do an epic job. So I think that's like a really valid point.
I think there's a saying in Portuguese that means...
Say it in Portuguese.
Nem 8 nem 80.
Oh yeah, I've heard that one before.
You know that one? Which is basically...
It's a classic.
I don't know how to exactly translate it, but like not 80, not 80.
Yeah, not
which
80, not 80.
Means not too much one thing and not too much the other thing. We have to find the balance. So when you said that the British vendors, they're more like, oh, we don't want to impose too much. We don't want to...
Not them all, but like there's definitely... I would say a few, that I could like think of. I can imagine people saying, "Oh no, that's like the wrong way to look at it." Like, it should be all about the couple and what they want, which is true. Like, I'm not saying that that's not true, but at the same time, like I said before, it's you need to. The couple are paying you to do your job. And I think it depends how you market yourself. If you do market yourself as a true documentary photographer that doesn't even ever get involved, then maybe getting involved is a little bit weird. But if you advertise yourself as like this modern, timeless, whatever other word you want to throw in there, what is it called now? Editorial photographer. Then I think you do need to have that little sprinkle of like prompts to guide throughout the day and ideas of what you want to do.
I think you would be lying if you said that you don't really go into a wedding without any expectations as a photographer, as a videographer. We really want to create cool things, obviously for the couple, but also for ourselves, because then we need to use their wedding to promote our work for future weddings. So we also want to create things that we love. But the saying that was saying, the Portuguese one, it means that I don't impose too much, right? I'm not the kind of person that doesn't impose at all and doesn't try to share ideas and vision, because if I see somewhere epic at the venue and I know that couple is a quiet couple, maybe they're not too much into editorial, I will try at least once ask, would you like, maybe I have this vision, like this spot, something like this, I think it would look great. If I need to also read the room, basically understand my couples and the limits that they impose as well. So because there are photographers, and I've heard from guests and people that I've met that they have been to weddings where the photographers just take the couple away for like an hour, and no one sees the couple during the cocktail hour. I never do that.
Which is the opposite of what we're saying.
You will never see me do that. So that would only play a role of me asking the couple to do something during their photo shoot, which usually that happens when the guests are directed for the dinner area, where they need to find their seats. That takes a while, because then the couple is going to go and have their own interests. So couples have to step aside whilst the guests go and get seated down, right? So those are the 50 minutes that we will try
the window,
to do as much as possible, and to create the visions that we have, the vision that the couples have. And that's when I will be asking things from the couple, and I will try to create those expectations that I have. It will never be during the wedding. I'm never going to go into to the couples and like take them away from their guests. You'll never see me do that.
While they've got a mouthful of food, just grabbing them from the table.
I'm eating when they're eating. Honestly,
I'm chilling when you're chilling.
Exactly. I'm not too much of one thing and not too much of the other. It's good to find a nice balance, but of course I go into every wedding with the expectation, with a vision. I study the venues as much as I can.
Massively,
and I see the potential that they have, and then
it's exciting.
To work it. It is
for us. It's exciting going to these new locations. You know, sometimes obviously we'll get onto this, but like going to destinations, like when you leave the country, when I leave the country, and you go into these exciting destinations. So like putting your own spin on that and getting excited about it, I think is perfectly fine. Going back to sort of, you know, Portuguese sayings, I just would like to, I'm actually genuinely interested in this. So like I would love to know if there's any sort of unique or different sort of Portuguese wedding traditions that happen that maybe UK suppliers don't even know about.
We don't really have anything different as like tradition. The only thing that I realized that it's very different, and maybe that's a cultural thing, it's the food.
Right.
We have a lot of food throughout the day. And I don't see that happening anywhere else. Really anywhere else.
How does that look?
And that's the one thing that I love. It's so cool. So basically when you get into the venue and you go for the cocktail hour, the reception, right? You have a whole banquet, basically like a whole buffet thing, and it's separated by regional things, or like Portugal little snack things, and then you have a whole seafood area, then you have a whole cheese and charcuterie area, then you have a barbecue area, and then you have a lot of food. So basically it's almost you're having the whole dinner. There are even venues that they have actual Portuguese meals like served as a buffet style, and you have a lot of options. So when you get into the reception, it's my favorite part of the day. Honestly,
why do we not do this? This is crazy.
The thing is, after that we still have then the dinner, then you have the cut of cake, then after the cut of cake you have the desserts buffet, which includes a bunch of different desserts, and again more cheese and fruits and everything. At the end of the nights, when you're partying and dancing on the dance floor, we have what's called ceia, which is like supper.
Oh, right, okay.
And you have more food coming.
And then you get in bed, and then you get some more food when you get in bed.
You get leftovers from the day before, basically. So that's one huge difference that I see in weddings in Portugal. In Portuguese weddings, is the food. We love food, we love eating, and we have a bunch of it. And that's what I miss when I have maybe a destination wedding, because I'm so used to that.
How do the weddings in Portugal differ to what you see from UK weddings? So what I mean by that is like, you know, the trends and like the sort of client expectations maybe. How does that differ? Do you see any difference between like UK and Portuguese weddings?
The main difference I see, it's the schedule and the times when they start and when they finish. That's the biggest one that I see. I don't think we are that different cultural wise, really, throughout the wedding day. But usually when I do a destination wedding, even in Portugal from English couples, because funny enough, I've never shot a wedding in England.
Yeah, you were saying this like off air, off camera. Yeah.
That's the weird thing to me.
That's so strange because you obviously have shot English couples, just never in England.
Many English couples.
Yeah.
Every gig I have outside Portugal, so in France, in Spain, in Italy, they're all English.
That is so interesting.
English couples, and I have a lot of English couples coming and getting married in Portugal. And I have lived in England, but for some reason I still have not gotten working in England. So
well, maybe after this.
Maybe, hopefully, but I don't see a huge difference on the wedding days other than the starting times and when they finish. I realize that the English weddings tend to end much earlier.
Yeah, and start earlier maybe.
And start earlier. No, actually, they start later and finish earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Whilst the Portuguese, they start earlier and they
finish later.
Up very late.
It's because you're eating. It's because you're all having the food.
To be fair, that could be.
You've scheduled 5 hours out the day for eating.
Exactly. Oh my God, that's probably that's a good way to look into it. But for you to have an idea, an average day for me on a wedding in Portugal to shoot looks like 16 hours of work. 16
hours.
Yes.
Wow.
And that's why
most photographers in the UK are going to be sat there like laughing because I would say most photographers averagely probably do, I'm going to say 8 being low end, 8 hours, and then like top end 12. Obviously you've got your events where you might need to go over 12, but I'd say most photographers probably sit at about 10 hours coverage. I know. So bang in the middle. It's like a half a day for you. It's like half a day, yeah.
So for me, I don't even have that. I don't have like the 8, 10 hour, 12 hour in my package. I just offer full coverage.
Yeah.
Because
makes sense,
I don't think an English couple or anyone really from anywhere will ever surpass the 16 hours that I shoot.
Yeah. Definitely not.
I got so used to that. And imagine doing like 3 days in a row where you go from 13 to 16 hours on each day. I'm used to that, right?
That's
so
crazy.
For me, going shoot like a 10-hour wedding is like, easy.
Yeah.
And it's
a breeze.
I also don't like to set the limits anyway, so I have just the full coverage. But I think that would be the main reason, because other than that, we don't really have anything that really differs from one country to the other. I realized that Portuguese now are starting to value the wedding photography more, whereas the English already kind of do, right?
Okay, that's interesting,
Especially the ones that do destination, they have like more vision, more expectations of what they want photography-wise. And in Portugal, we never had that culture to hire a photographer to do photo shoots, family photo shoots. We're starting to get into that now. So that's also maybe a difference that I see. Portuguese don't value it as much yet, but they're starting to. Especially the younger generation getting married now, they're starting to value the photography more. As they should.
Well, this is it. I think what's interesting there is that many people in the UK often say that the UK sort of is like 5 to 10 years behind America. So America will start doing something, and then even fashion. So like fashion will come over here 5 years later. And I sort of think there's parts of the rest of Europe that probably do the same with us. So like you've just said there, people are now starting to value it a little bit more. And obviously
the
nowadays
and everything, it comes from all the Americans that go and have these really nice weddings in big chateaus in France or the big villas in Italy. It all comes from the American influence. Definitely. For sure.
100%. What is the photography market like currently in Portugal? Because in the UK right now, the market is a little bit like in a bit of a weird place. So I'm just interested, is it like... Is it really competitive out there? Is it kind of more of a niche thing? Are you finding it really easy to get the bookings and inquiries and all that stuff?
I realized now that Portugal is becoming really big for weddings, especially the destination ones. So in that sense, I think Portugal is doing well when it comes to have a lot of like inquiries and bookings. I think the market is doing amazing at the moment in Portugal, and it's only going to grow. It is competitive also because there's a lot of photographers, obviously, and people are also bringing their own as well. So you have
That's
to
what
compete.
I'm going to ask you. Yeah, so you've literally, that's like my next question. So I'm going to say to you, like, the great thing with the UK is that people from overseas get married in the UK. Obviously, we don't really have to worry about them bringing over their own team. Like, it does happen, but not very often. Like, I get a lot of Americans, for example, getting married in the UK that reach out to me. But, like, I'm sure that works for you as well. So, like, a lot of UK couples will inquire with you in Portugal and you'll shoot the wedding. But I guess it's more tricky because, like, I've worked out in Italy and France and places like that quite a lot. And I know that basically Italian videographers are getting a little bit sort of, for lack of a better term, pissed off that, like, a lot of UK videographers are now going out there and then I guess stealing their market. So I guess, does that happen in Portugal with other photographers from the UK, you know, flying in and sort of like affecting, you know, your market, I guess?
I understand the videographer sides, the Italian videographers, the way they feel, but at the same time, I personally kind of play a role into that as well, because what videographers in Italy are feeling, also the photographers in Italy are feeling, because Italy now is a huge country, right? Everyone wants to get married in Italy as well.
It's huge,
and that's why we're getting so many bookings in Portugal, because Italy has become so big and so expensive.
Right, that's interesting.
That Portugal is more competitive in that side, because Portugal still has the warm, the beautiful venues, beautiful
It's growing
weather.
in popularity,
exactly, in the culture, and it's still not as expensive as Italy is, and that's why we're getting so many.
Because I guess it's not quite as popular as Italy yet. So, but I guess it's growing.
It's growing a lot, and because again of the prices being slightly cheaper, then people are coming. But I also want to shoot weddings in Italy, right? So I will also be one that coming from another country into Italy, and that's what's happening in Portugal. Because as the market is growing and there's more destination weddings happening there, people want to try their shots.
100%.
We have our goals as professionals, as photographer, as a videographer. I want to do destination photography. That's what I really want to do. I understand why that could be conflicting, because also if I were to miss the opportunity to shoot a gorgeous big luxury wedding in my own city because they hired an English person instead. I think that I understand that can be frustrating, but
You'd be also protesting outside.
No, because I'm doing the same. I also want to take the nice, cool weddings from a British person and come here instead. You know, we have to be honest, because we are professionals and we have our goals. I think that's the difference at the moment. And that really explains why English people are coming and get married in Portuguese, and why all of my couples of weddings that I've been shooting in Portugal, in Italy, in France, they're all English, because England is colder. I guess that plays a role why our market is doing better than yours at the moment, because we are a warmer country. People want to come
easily. It is,
exactly.
Definitely.
So we will.
That's all English people need, just like warm sun and beer.
Exactly. We're not a tropical country. Neither is Italy either, but we are warmer and we are beautiful and we have amazing culture. So in that regards, we are doing good because of that. Countries like France and in Italy are becoming so expensive that we're getting more of the weddings and more opportunities, and that's the main difference happening between Portugal and England at the moment, or the UK.
Obviously, I know you want to shoot in England. What type of wedding? So here's a big question. Like, what type of wedding are you wanting to shoot in England? Are you thinking like the nice London, sort of like a city wedding? Or are you thinking like up here in Yorkshire at some sort of like barn? Like, what's the vibe that because you say you want to shoot in England, but like there's so many different types of venues. So, what's like your image of shooting a wedding in England?
Your wedding, for example.
Oh, my wedding.
Your wedding. I loved your wedding venue. That's, I don't know.
Kind of like, I guess like more, it's like a, I guess like an old English regal looking sort of like that. The
location was beautiful. I love locations where it's like
had a lot
old.
of history to it.
I love old locations with whole furniture and chandeliers and everything and concrete, which was basically our venue.
Is there not really any of that in Portugal, or is it
there is
but it just looks a lot different, obviously, because it's just different time,
and maybe we don't have as many wedding venues
that's like
that. We have places like that, but not maybe wedding venues. We have obviously some, but I think you have more.
Definitely, yeah.
More
definitely.
wedding venues that look like that. So that's what I love, and that's what I want to do. It's like the high end. Usually, it would be more like a high end kind of wedding in those kind of locations. That's what I want.
So I am interested in knowing how you present yourself to sort of like international couples, if that makes sense. So something that I don't have to worry about as such is that obviously because most people I know that's inquiring with me are going to be English or English speaking, it's very easy for me to sort of advertise myself. Obviously, how does that differ for you? Because obviously you're trying to appeal to people from Portugal, from where you live, and then you're also trying to expand outside of that to like English and Americans. So are you, on your website and stuff, are you having to have like different kind of like wording? Do you have like a Portuguese page and a sort of English typed up page? Like, how does that work? I'm always just curious.
No, I actually am more towards the international couples and weddings, honestly.
Why is that? Like, how come?
Because I think you can grow faster within the business. Yeah. Really. I want to do destination, right? So I don't see a lot of Portuguese people getting married outside the country.
Really? No. I'm surprised they're coming to England. I'm joking.
Probably happens, but you don't have as many Portuguese people thinking, oh, I'm going to go get married in Spain or in Italy or anywhere else, really.
I wonder why. I wonder why that is.
Because we do have great venues and a great country to
You've got the
get
sun
married
already.
at.
Yeah. I think people are mainly travelling for sun, weather, and scenery.
But no, on my website, I only write in English. I only have my website in English.
Okay.
And I'm focused on the destination weddings. Obviously, I do point out that I'm based in Portugal. And at this point, I think the weddings that I'm getting in Portugal, it's now more from word of mouth.
Yeah.
Or people finding my work through venues or other vendors, you know. But I'm actively aiming towards more the destination weddings. I'm happy to get the Portuguese ones, obviously. Yeah. But I'm not saying, I don't want to shoot Portuguese weddings, because that's not true, and that would not look good on me. But that's not true. I do want to shoot nice Portuguese weddings, but
a certain type of
exactly
wedding.
Because I want to do luxury.
That's fair
weddings.
enough. Yeah, that's fair. That's it.
Weddings.
Yeah.
And you don't have as many Portuguese people having luxury weddings. That's basically the reason why I aim for the international ones, because Americans have more money to spend because it's so much more expensive in the US that they have a bigger budget to get married in Portugal or in Italy, anywhere really. So I want to get into luxury. If that means it's Portuguese, I feel like they also understand English, because in Portugal we're very good with English. Right? We learn English since we're kids. So I know that even if I have my website in English, in my Instagram I post in English majority of the time. I know that my Portuguese clients understand it. Especially if you're having a luxury wedding and you're Portuguese, you will tend to know another language. So I don't think there's an issue with that. But no, I do aim more for the British or for the Americans, and everything is in English.
Do you approach destination weddings differently to how you would shoot in Portugal? I know this is probably a little bit of a weird question. But for like people from the UK, practically, if we're preparing for a destination wedding, obviously we know likely if it's in Italy, even if it's in Portugal or anywhere outside of England, even if we go to France, we know it's going to be hotter. So like we're preparing, so we'll be thinking about what we wear, because what I wear in the UK is completely different to what I would wear when we shot together in the south of France, or like when I'm shooting in Italy or anywhere that's like a hot climate. Even when I've been to America, like it's kind of different, and I try and practically approach it a little bit differently. But I guess for you, if you're going from Portugal to Italy, it's you're kind of used practically. You not need to sort of think, I need to dress differently, or I need to take this piece of kit, or because I guess you're sort of used to it. Like even for us, like mosquitoes, for example, like that's a big problem when we go away, because it's like we're just not geared up for it. We're not used to it in the UK, really.
Outfit-wise, that actually is something that I think is important for me to cover and to talk about, because in Portugal, I don't know how it is in England, and then you can tell me, but in Portugal, especially if you are working in this big companies.
Yep.
When I was working as a second tutor for these big companies, I'll have to wear like suit pants in black or white trainers, and then a blouse. It had to be like a black blouse. We really had to look almost, there's no offense in saying this, like waitress. You know?
Yeah.
And I never related to that. I never liked that, and you will not see me wearing that on my weddings.
For your own, yeah.
For example, I wear dresses. I wear dresses. Obviously, I have to be careful with the dress that I choose.
Yeah, it's just appropriateness.
Of course, it has to be appropriate as a vendor, as a photographer, because obviously I kneel down and I do a bunch of things.
It's got to be practical.
Of course, it has to be practical, but that suits the moment as well.
Yeah.
I don't go wearing black just because I'm a vendor, so I have to wear black. I always ask the dress codes if there's colors that they don't want, because some people don't want black. It happened when I went to Spain. They were like, "Oh, no black." I think friends. I think our couple also told me not to wear black.
No black. Yeah, that were no black.
For example, so I wear different colors, but always a dress. You will not see me wearing like some suit pants and shirts. So that's a big difference that I see. For example, other professionals and other vendors or other photographers in Portugal, they'll be dressed like that, and I'm just like, as a guest, because I am a guest. In the end of the day, I'm also a guest, and then again, the way that I connect with my couples allows me that by the time I get there, and also I'm wearing my harness and my cameras. No one's gonna miss me because I'm wearing a dress. Everyone is gonna know who the photographer is.
It is harder for guys. For destinations, for example, in the UK, it's like really split. It's really divided. Like the opinion of wearing shorts to a wedding or not. So like, a lot of people in the UK, blokes, men, will basically say it's fine, like, we'll wear shorts because obviously we're not used to the hot climate, and on top of that, you're also working and you're trying to do everything that you normally would do at a UK wedding, but you're all of a sudden you're in like 30-degree heat, and we're not built for it. We're not used to it. So like, it's one of those where it's like, do you want to be looking the part but sort of sweating and uncomfortable, or do you want to wear the shorts and sort of feel more comfortable but maybe don't look right to guests at a wedding? It's something that I really struggle with. I mean, when I go to destinations,
do you wear shorts?
No. So
I think you shouldn't.
So I don't wear shorts, and I think a short sleeve shirt, if it's smart, with like a smart outfit,
exactly.
It depends how you're wearing it. I think if you're wearing a short sleeve shirt and shorts, and then like boat shoes, so like little loafer type things. If you're wearing that, I think that can be all right for like a pre-event maybe, but like the actual wedding day, I think you need to sort of dress up a little bit and
agree.
and I always just try and suck it up, the heat, because I'm a sweaty guy, so I do sweat, and it's like it can get bad, but I feel like I'd rather look a little bit more sweaty, but
look professional,
but look like I've got the right clothes on, and it's like a respect thing. It's basically like I don't want to look like I'm being disrespectful, Of
course. Well, when I pointed out the fact that I don't really necessarily want to get dressed as a waitress to a wedding, it's because I'm also a female, right? So if you wear pants, you're a guy. You're not gonna wear a dress. It's different.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm not really like risking out the possibility of me wearing pants, depending on, again, the weather. If weather is also chilly, maybe I'm going to put some really nice business pants, like that I look good in, that I like, and that I feel comfortable. But for me, it's easier to put a dress and still look very much professional. And as a guest and professional and look good than you as a man
wearing a dress.
I would not wearing shorts.
I know what you mean.
I don't think you look professional wearing shorts, but I still think I will look professional, even if I'm wearing a dress.
A smart dress.
Exactly, always smart dresses. I don't show my chest area. They have to be long. I don't show my back, so I have to be very smart with the dresses that I'm choosing. But always dresses.
What is your most memorable wedding moment? Have you got one?
Oh goodness!
Quick fire, go!
I know
she's got one.
We cried. Everyone cried.
This is good.
And you had the videographer like this, like tearing up. It was basically a couple that were getting married, and the bride already had a daughter.
Okay.
And during the ceremony, oh my God, I'm getting chills because it was so beautiful. During the ceremony at the church, the groom called her daughter in, and during the ceremony at the church, it did a whole speech for her.
Oh.
How much he loved her, how much it was so beautiful. I'm getting chills because it was so beautiful. Everyone was crying and I was shooting. I was like wiping my tears. And I looked over at the videographers, like 50-year-old videographers, and they were like, so that was beautiful. I love those moments. So that's a memorable thing that I think of. And when I think of weddings, and it should be like that. Those emotions, like the wedding, they should be full of emotions like that. It was a beautiful moment. So
have you noticed that weddings are becoming more about sort of the way that they look rather than the emotion?
Yeah. I see that happening a lot. I've seen weddings where they just wanted to have all of these nice outfits and outfit changes and do this and do that.
Just for social media, pretty much.
And then in the end of the day, it will not really end up happening things the way they were visualizing, because they got late, or because whatever it was, and you could feel that it was more about the nice pictures they were gonna get. And obviously we want that. We want the nice pictures, but if that takes away from the real moment
from
of
the
day,
real, what the actual meaning of the wedding is.
Exactly. If that takes away from that, then
pointless.
It's
all just a show. It's
just a show, and then you won't really have the storyline that you want. Obviously, I want the cool photos and the nice outfits and like the dance party. That's so fun and everything. But I want the emotions that come in between, and I want to see you cry. I don't want you to be like looking just cool and stylish for the photo. And
give me tears, man. Give me tears.
I want to see the raw emotions. And in weddings where they're thinking more about the pictures than like the image, they tend to lack a little bit more of those kind of emotions in moments. And I don't want that. I don't want that either. I think it has to be a nice balance. Obviously, cool photos and nice shots and nice videos and everything. Cool. I'm all in for it. Let's just not lack on the rest.
Let's not fall short on the most important thing.
Exactly. The most important thing. Essentially, the most important thing, which is the emotion, the love, and everything that comes with it.
We're going to take a little bit of a turn now. So it's your chance to just basically slag videographers off. So I want to ask you a question. So is there something that videographers could do, or that you've seen videographers do, that annoys you? Like, how could videographers help you on a wedding day, make your life easier?
So
not be there.
You don't
just
leave me alone. No, I never get annoyed at the videographer. I get annoyed at the moment because it can be frustrating sometimes, but that goes both ways. Right? Because sometimes, I think the one part of the day that a videographer annoys me the most is during the first dance, because during the first dance, as a photographer, you're more like positioning a certain way to try to get like the nice angles and everything. And videographers, they want to get those cool shots, so they get like they're going back and forward in your clothes and everything, and that kind of ruins the vision that we have as a photographer. So that's the only time of the day that I'm like, oh my God, I wish you were not here. But I understand, and we have to work together.
That's it,
But I think the only thing I think everyone really should be doing differently is what I did with you. So when we shot in France, I reached out to you prior, being like, look, I'm going to be the couple's photographer. I'd love to meet up with you prior to the wedding because we were going to be there before the wedding day. If you have a time, let's just like connect, let's chat. Let me know, like, how do we work? How do you go
what
around
are you about?
The day? Exactly. Let's align prior to it. And I think that's something a lot of us are lacking. In the
I think
industry.
it's a personality. I think certain personalities will be up for that. Like I'm always up for stuff like that. I love it. Like I love meeting people. I love chatting. That's why I've got a podcast. And it's like, I just loved it when you reached out. I'm like, definitely. Like, let's meet up. Let's grab something to eat. Let's
sit down and chat.
What I like about that is it's building a rapport. So like me and you are on the same page because most of the day we are going to be shoulder to shoulder. So like it's important when you're spending so much time with somebody next to them, working alongside them, it's important to like get along and like know that person and just have a little bit of a relationship. I think that's really important.
True. And I feel like obviously you have to be able to adjust to the moment and to the people that you're working with because you will stop upon new people and new videographers and essentially by the throughout the day we know how things are going to go around and we have to be able to adjust. So I don't necessarily agree. This is something that we can talk afterwards. I don't necessarily agree with the concept of hiring photo and video team because they know each other, so they're going to be working better together. I don't know if that's a thing in here, but in Portugal a lot of the couples they want to hire a company that does both because they know each other, they're used to work together.
I think let's go down this rabbit hole. This is a good conversation.
There's something I really want to talk about afterwards. But essentially, I feel like with videographers, there tends to be a bigger difference between the videographer I'm going to get tomorrow with the videographer I'm going to get today. I feel like that essentially photographers kind of go around the day in the same kind of style, but there's videographers, and I can give you as an example and some other great videographers that I work with, where I felt like with you were more just there next to me. And just shooting things as they were happening. And me as a photographer, which is normal, it's natural, we tend to be more, we communicate more with the couple and direct more, or just like any sort of the communication, it comes more from the photographer than the videographer. And there's videographers like you that would just stay next to me and I'm more free to do my things and you just shoot things as they're happening. But there's videographers where they have their own vision and they have their own ideas. So sometimes I'm going to be doing something and then the videographer will be like, now let's do something here different. We have to align with
it's
that.
quite jarring. It like breaks it up a little bit. It
breaks a little bit.
I'm all for my sort of philosophy on that approach is I will always be sort of next to the photographer capturing whatever they're directing the couple to do. For example, like during the couple shoot, I try and stay next to the photographer and just document what I can. And this is very rare, super, super rare, but if a photographer's basically not doing what I need, basically that just means that a photographer's probably not doing anything movement based, which most photographers these days do. So like if the photographer's like an old school photographer that's just getting the couple to stand there, look at each other and that kind of thing, that's really naff and rubbish for video.
You need the movement.
So I will then say, guys, like I need to step in and get some more walking and blah blah blah. But so I always say to the photographer, if I don't speak, that's a good sign. If I'm jumping in, it's because I'm not getting what I need to get.
Exactly. But there's still videographers that need more movement. I've noticed that. There's videographers that have more ideas, more vision, they need more action going on, and they will need to communicate more with the couple as well. And we need to align that. So it's good for us to get to know each other prior, to have a little chat, and then on the day it's fine. I still do, before I move on to something else, I always check with the videographer. Are you okay? Do you need anything else? Want to do something different? And that's very important.
Basically, the whole reason we got talking about this was because you were saying about meeting up and having that chat. I think if you have a relationship, so if you've met me like we did, you met me a few days before the wedding, and I've met you, so photographer, videographer have met, and you have a chat, you hang out for a bit, that already has broken the ice. You've had a chat, and there's already a little bit of a relationship already formed and a connection there. So me as a person, if something was going wrong, I would say, I'd be like, can you just, like the example that you gave about getting in front of the videographer, sometimes I have to say, whoa, just come back a second, I've not got the shot. That's really easy to say if you've formed a little bit of a relationship. If you've not, and you've not met and if you're a little bit more of a reserved and shy person, which I would say videographers tend to be a little bit more reserved and shy, when you're comparing to a photographer who tends to be quite extroverted, I think that's so much easier for a videographer to sort of step in at that point and say, if they feel like they sort of know you or they've met you, it's easier to say, hang on, can you just step back for 2 minutes, rather than it is if you've just met them an hour before. Do you know what I mean?
But I think you really need to understand, like, this is your job and this is what happens on wedding days, and you have a job to do, right? And if a photography is getting in front of you, you can be shy, but during the work, you have to leave it at the door, right?
Yeah.
Because if I'm ruining a shot, me as a photographer, you have to communicate. And that brings to the conversation I was having earlier about the couples wanting to hire photo and video teams rather than hiring separately.
Yeah.
That's something that really disappoints me a little bit, and kind of like it's a little bitter for me.
Come?
Because that's going to take away the opportunity from you as an individual videographer and me as an individual photographer to be able to get those opportunities, because people are assuming that we won't be able to work together as good as someone from, because even in businesses that have been working for 10 years together, that's still going to happen. The photographer will still get in front of the videographer at some point, and vice versa. The only difference might be what you just said, like that team has been working for many years and they will be more comfortable calling each other out, but those things are still going to happen. But that's the thing. That's why I try to always bring that communication, because I'm a solo photographer. I'm just meeting you. I have to create that same dynamic as those teams that are together for years. They're doing what they should be doing, like communicate. It's just all about communication.
Definitely. That's it. That's the key takeaway.
And that's what I want couples please to know. As long as there's communication, it shouldn't matter. If you're hiring a company or the service separately.
It all boils down to personalities, styles, and experience. That's what I would say. It's personality types. What personality types work well together. The style is really important. If your styles are very similar, then you're gonna approach the day and have a similar sort of perspective on it. And then just the experience. If you're experienced at what you do, then you will have been. I've worked with so many different types of photographers where sometimes I've had to lead the day because the photographer's really, really shy. Sometimes I've not spoken at a wedding at all because the photographer just won't shut up. They're just constantly talking and I can't get a word in. And sometimes I've clashed with a photographer. Sometimes it's been like really awkward and they've not been my kind of person. But it's just about, because I've had a lot of experience, I feel like I can adapt really easily to any type of sort of photographer. And obviously there'll be photographers out there that's the same, but for video, they'll work with video that's like, really shy, some that are really arrogant and want to take the couple off separately, that kind of thing. If you get two experienced people that've got a similar style and they're sort of, their personalities, you can tell from chatting to them are going to match, even if they've not met, then it's going to be fine.
My idea is, if you are a good professional,
that's it.
If you just hire a good professional, they will be able to work together, and that's it.
Have you noticed any difference between Portuguese videographers and English videographers?
You guys tend to be more quiet.
English?
Yes.
Really?
You tend to be more in your little lane, corner. And again, I think it's just like the cultural thing. You're more reserved.
Yeah, we are. As a culture, English people are more reserved. Have you shot with a lot of English videographers?
Well, when you asked the question, I was thinking about any other videographer from outside.
What's like your favourite part of the day to shoot?
I love shooting the get ready.
Really? That's your favourite?
No, the favourite is the party. I love the party.
Party, yeah.
I don't know.
Nice.
I don't have anything like, poetic to say now. Like, the ceremony when they exchange the vows and everything. I'm sorry.
I love the honesty. I just love the honesty. Just a party, please.
I love shooting the party because the vibes are there.
Yeah.
And everyone just connects. And then the ceremony.
Everyone's drunk, having a good time. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's kind of the same vibe during the preparations because everyone just like
good energy.
Connecting.
Yeah.
And good energy. And you're a little bit more involved in that.
Yeah.
Whether when you're shooting the ceremony, it's more like things are happening and everyone is their little corner.
Yeah.
The guests even and the couple. So I like when we're more involved and it's more like connection and things going on. So I love the morning part and I love the evening part. Those are my favorites.
From my perspective, a lot of my favourite parts of the day, well, I have across the whole day, a lot of it is really exciting to me, and I like different parts for different reasons. So, like for example,
well, I'm sorry. Let me just. I didn't forget. It just seemed obvious. If for some reason I didn't mention, obviously the couples shoot. Then that's like our time to shine.
Yeah.
So that's what I love. Also, that's also very important to me, and I love that part of the day. Obviously. But yeah. Sorry. Continue.
I think for video it's a little bit different. For me, I have like I said, like different parts of the day are exciting for different reasons. For example, the ceremony and the speeches. That's often when it's obviously shot in full. And I'm covering it from multiple angles. So that approach is really, really different. And it's a different experience for me shooting it than it is, say, the morning preparations or the couple or a cocktail hour or anything like that. Because they're all more like a loose, creative, I can just do whatever I want, really. Mm-hmm. Whereas like for the ceremony and the speeches, it's really like I get the enjoyment out of planning. So I'll really like, for the one that we did in France, for example, myself and the second shooter, we were planning how we were going to tackle it, how we're going to approach it, where we're going to put the cameras. And because I'm a geek, I love that kind of like planning. I get excited about how it's going to look. You know, it's kind of, it feels professional. It feels like you're really thinking about it. Whereas other points of the day where it's a little bit looser, like the cocktail hour, one moment I can be getting the drone up and I love it that it's kind of like creatively free, I guess.
Yeah.
So I can get the drone up for 10 minutes, then I can go and shoot on an 85 and get really nice detail shots, and then I can get the gimbal out and just get some nice moving shots of people walking around. So yeah, it's different for different reasons, I think.
I also feel like things like the ceremonies, for example, it's more stressful because you have to make sure you get every important shot.
Yeah.
Everything else, you can kind of like stage it.
Yeah.
If in the morning, for some reason, you don't have like a nice detailed shot or something, you can go and do it.
Yeah.
Same with the couple shoots and then the party. You just have a lot of options to do like cool photos.
Yeah.
When it's the ceremony, you only have like one entrance of the groom and then the bride. And then things are happening just one time. You cannot say anything.
Yeah.
That's more stressful. Yeah. Obviously, when he ends and it was awesome, you get very excited. You can get very excited about ceremony pictures.
Yeah.
Regardless if it's a civil ceremony or if it's a church one. And I guess that's maybe why moments like that, because you say, before a ceremony you have to plan and have to set up these things. It's so exciting for me. I just have to be there and then just shoot what's happening. Yeah. And for me, it's more stressful. For us in general, it's just more stressful because we have to be like on top of things and like make sure. So it's not as enjoyable as a professional, as a photographer. Yeah. Those kind of moments where it's more pressure in that sense, and we cannot fully emerge and enjoy and connect as individuals as well.
Do you have a go-to lens for the day? What's your favourite lens to shoot a wedding on, I guess is the better question.
It really depends of the moment, what I have to shoot. Obviously, I love a 50 and an 85. for portraits. I love the 85.
Yeah, it's a good lens.
It's an amazing lens. But obviously, if I had to only have one lens throughout the day, it would have to be 35.
35, yeah.
Of course,
it's
you
very
have
versatile.
to have 35. You can do nice portraits with a 35. You can have a wider angle with a 35. If I could only have one. Oh, sorry. I have to point out that I'm a prime.
Yeah, same.
I shoot in primes.
Yeah.
Right. So if I had a zoom lens, which I would love to get my hands on the 2870.
Yeah.
So expensive. Then maybe I'll just say that.
Yeah.
But I only have primes. So considering the primes that I have, if I had to shoot a whole day, of course I have to go with the 35 because it's very tricky to shoot a whole day with a 50, let alone 85. Then obviously the 224 is my go-to for the party, for example, the dance and everything. But to shoot everything in a 24 would be just like like distorts.
Yeah.
So 35, I would say.
It's really versatile. Yeah. I think I would actually choose a 50 if I only had one
whole
lens.
Day?
Yeah, 50. I think I used to. So back in 2019, when that was my first full-time year, I would pretty much, I would say for 95% of the wedding, shooting on a 50 all day. Obviously, I have 3 cameras, but my my main camera, shooting most of the stuff on a 50. And then the other camera, the B cam, was like a wide, like a 24 or something.
I think I'll have a horrible time trying to shoot like the party with a 50.
Yeah, but I guess for video, I've noticed, and this is something just going off topic, but it's kind of relevant to what you've just said. For me and video, back when I was shooting, my style for shooting the dance floor used to be very much, I would stay on the outside of the dance floor and I would snipe into the and get people through people, if that makes sense. But nowadays, and I noticed that photographers were always getting in the mix, getting inside the dance floor, getting close with people and making it fun. And I just always used to hate the thought of going in there with all these drunken people hitting you. I was just going to stay in, because no one ever watched the films and said, oh, it's a shame you weren't in there. So I just never saw it as a problem. But then I started seeing the results that photographers were getting, and other videographers that I look up to that were starting to get into the dance, get into the mix of it. And it just it just immerses the viewer more. So now I'm very much in the mix. I'm very much in there. But yeah, I never had a problem before. It used to be easy.
I also feel like with the video, you can just shoot, be still, and you capture the movement.
Yeah.
And a photographer, you have to be able to portray that movement in a frozen picture.
Yeah.
So that's why you need to get closer. You need to have a cooler, to a cool angle. And if I just only have a small portion of the person, that's what was going to happen if I was shooting with a 50. It's not as interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
That
I agree.
you can do with a 224, for example.
What red flags should couples look out for when booking a photographer?
Oh.
I've hit you with a hard question.
I'm going to use even my own experience as I spoke back to 2022 when I was shooting these weddings without any experience. The red flags is experience, really, and quotes. If the photographer is quoting you a very low amount of money, there's a reason for that. They could have the eye. They could do good portraits. And again, that was my example, right?
Yeah.
I had the eye for it. I had the passion. I had cool portraits that I was doing on the streets of people, of these little photo shoots. That's not the same thing as doing an actual wedding.
Yeah.
You need to have the experience. You have even to work with the flash. You have to have experience regarding a lot of things that happens on a wedding day that you have to be aware. So that's basically it. It's the quote. Question-wise, it's so low, right?
Yeah.
And if it's the quote that you're looking for, because not everyone has the budget for higher budget, right?
Yep.
Not everyone has the budget for it. You cannot expect a certain amount of quality.
Yeah.
That's the thing. But now if you're someone who you want good photos, and it's not just about the budget, you want good professional photos, then I would say experience. Learn about the photographer, what he has been doing. Are the photos on their Instagram all taken by them?
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. A lot of photographers, I hear a lot of noise in the photography world about basically check the photographer's full gallery. Don't just assume what you see on their Instagram grid is what the album will look like. So do you reckon, is there some truth to that, or is that
there
just...
is.
Yeah.
There is. You have to understand how good that photographer is in every condition.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's very easy for you to make really good photos if you have an amazing getting ready spot with large rooms, amazing lights. What if it's a room that's really tiny, very dark? How does
messy.
Exactly, messy. How does that photographer get around? Can they have these good photos?
Yeah. So I'd just like to ask you, what is your top dream destination to shoot a wedding?
I have to say those amazing villas in Italy, like Villa Balbianello, things like that, you know?
Yeah, I know.
I have to say it. Or those huge chateaus in France. That's my goal. It's those really nice villas in Italy, and those gorgeous chateaus in France. That's really my vibe. That's what I love. Those are the photos that I love to see of other photographers that I look up to, and also portrays the kind of weddings that we want to take part of, because obviously it has to be a high-end luxury wedding for you to get married in places like that. So it has to be that. Obviously, I do want to get into the US markets.
Okay.
So that's a dream of mine. I want to shoot weddings, I think more like in the East Coast of the of US. If I could just establish and settle as being a photographer in amazing venues, as in Italy and in France, I think I'll be happy. I don't need to go all the way to the other side of the world. Obviously, if you want to take me, like that wedding where they got married in front of the pyramids in Egypt,
sign me up.
Sign me up. So anything that's going to be looking good and epic, I want in.
You've sort of answered the final question, which I always ask every guest, but I'll ask it anyway, because you kind of led it there, sort of. But what, in 3 to 5 years' time, where do you see yourself? What are your goals? What are your ambitions for your business?
I want to shoot those epic weddings, those like €1 million.
Like super luxury.
Yeah. Kind of weddings, and I want to be quoting those crazy amount of money. Again, I'm honest. I want to make a lot of money. Yeah. But you'll never be just a number for me, okay? Just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. But do you know there's photographers quoting like €60,000?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Just like starting price.
That's like the top end. Yeah, like they're like the super luxury market.
Yeah. I'm fine if I just get like to 15,000 like starting. That's the goal, and I know this. It's a reality. It's possible for others. Yeah. And the thing
I love that energy. Love the energy.
If it's possible for others, why would it be not possible for me?
It's a great way of looking at it.
So that's what I want to be at. I want to be.
Is everyone in Portugal this positive? Because in England, everyone's the opposite. Everyone's such a pessimist. Everyone's like, that'll never be me. It'll never happen for me.
No, you have both.
Both, yeah.
I think there's a universal thing, right?
Yeah.
There's positive and negative people anywhere. I tend to be very positive. Yeah. But I have this mindset, like if others can do it, I have to do it. Does it scare me? This is going to take me maybe longer or less time. I don't know. Yeah. But if the others can do it, then why should I not be able to do it, Yeah. Unless it's something like crazy that people just born with that talent. Like
that's different.
Sing like Beyonce. I don't know. I don't think I will ever be able to sing like Beyonce. But other things that I know are more realistic, that if you work towards it, you can actually get it. Yeah. Then if others are doing it, I can do it too, and I will be doing it.
That's amazing. I love it. Normally, this is where I would end the podcast. So this is where I would say as a little outro. I'd say bye, you'd say bye. But for this episode, I've asked some questions online, and you've asked some questions on your Instagram. We've got a few questions here come in. So I've never done this before on the podcast, but why not start now?
Yeah,
so we've got a few questions here, and the first one is how to get weddings outside. How do you get weddings outside of Portugal?
So for me, it's funny because when I started getting into the business, I would connect with other professionals that were already in the business and to ask for tips, like what do you do, how do you get weddings, how do couples reach out to you.
Yeah.
And for some reason, everyone would bash Facebook, like don't get on Facebook. You cannot get good weddings from Facebook groups and things like that. But there's things in me that's, you can only take away what you think is going to fit you, right? From the tips people give you. And basically every single gig that I did outside the country was all from Facebook groups that people will just post there, I'm looking for a photographer here. And I'll go and comment, which is a big competition out there on that platform. But it has never been through my websites so far. Because again, let's remind ourselves that I only started last year. So people had to find me somehow. I had to find my couples somehow.
Yeah. That's a good way of phrasing it. Definitely.
I had to find them.
Yeah.
So all of those were through Facebook.
That's
not
interesting.
Instagram, not my website, not anything else. It was just Facebook groups.
Yeah.
That's how I did it. And if someone is starting, whoever asks the question, if they're starting and that's what they wanna do, that's an option for you. Because if you have not done those weddings in those places, they're not gonna be able to find you from your website or from Instagram because you have nothing from. If you want to shoot the wedding in Greece, if you have nothing in Greece or nothing outside the country where you're based, it's going to be difficult for someone to come and pick you and find you. So you have. When you're starting, you have to go and find the opportunities, and that's what I did.
One of the next questions I was going to ask what's coming is, what platforms do you use to promote? And obviously for me, I would say the biggest one in the UK by a mile is Instagram. Yeah. So Instagram is huge. That's where most of the couples are looking and finding you. But yeah, it's really, really competitive in the UK, really competitive. A lot of fellow suppliers, people that I know, we all do sponsored ads, paid for ads. So that's super interesting. So like, what other do you use any other platforms to promote?
No, I only have my Instagram. I have my website now, which is finally something I actually like connecting. I like looking at.
How are people finding you through Instagram? Are they finding you through Instagram?
When it comes to weddings in Portugal, people are finding me easier on Instagram because my name on Instagram is Portugal and Destination Wedding Photographer. Yeah. So when it's Portugal, it's easier for me to come up for couples getting married in Portugal. But if they want to get married in France, I'm not going to come up as easily. So that's why I'm still like finding those people myself because I'm still getting in the markets. I don't feel like I'm not up there yet. Yeah. I'm starting. I'm starting now. But I've never done the sponsored thing, mainly because I think I'm kind of dumb and I don't know how to do it efficiently. I have to learn. I have to study exactly how I should be doing it. But there's no reason other than I just don't know how to do it. But I should do it. I should start sponsoring my work.
If you're doing as well as you are without it, then I'd say you probably don't even need to do it because I think there's people in the UK that would kill to have the career that you've currently got a year into it that have been doing it for 10 years, you know.
Thank you.
I've just got a little question for you just to finish up on. You've got quite a successful story. So are you looking to get into like education or selling your presets or anything like that? Is that something that's on the cards or?
It's something that
I feel like it could be.
That's something that was put into my mind recently in a very funny way, because I was.
I think you'd be great at like workshops. You could do workshops. You know.
You think?
Yeah.
I've been thinking about it only because a photographer from Brazil, he reached out to me like, "Do you sell any mentorship?
Yeah.
Do you do any mentorship? Do you sell any courses?" And I'm like, "What?
Yeah.
You want courses from me?" That was so weird.
I only started last month.
He has more followers than I have. I remember opening the profile and he had a way more followers. And I'm like, "You asking for courses from me?" Like, "Yeah, I love what you do and I love the way that you shoot, the way that you edit. Do you sell anything, maybe an ebook?" And no, and I don't even know how.
And then you were like, actually,
how would you do that?
Come back to me in a month.
And then someone asked me about the way that I edit in my presets. "Do you sell your presets?" And I'm like, should I? I don't know. Those were things I never really thought and considered myself, especially now, because obviously, and I'm grateful and I appreciate when you said that I'm successful, especially taking into consideration that this is only like my fourth year shooting weddings, and I only had 1 year shooting weddings for myself. So I can appreciate that. And I do recognize I have to be honest and recognize that, yes, I am doing good for someone that had no background, started studying on my own during the pandemic and just so new into the business. But I still see myself as someone who's just really new. And I cannot even think, I think I would be like, who the hell do I think I am? Just to be selling courses right now and presets and things like that.
But if people are asking,
now people
capitalize
are asking.
on that.
It has not been the first times. People are starting to ask. So this is something that I can actually, whoever is listening, like, would you want me to? And that's something that I can start considering and I could work on throughout this year. Yeah. Because I'm sure I will learn more things. There are things that I'm going to change. I will get more experience. And then maybe it could be something that starting next year, maybe I can consider and make it happen. But that's really weird for me to like even think about. I'm like, what do you mean? I was just studying it myself recently. Yeah.
Crazy. Honestly, you should go for it though. Yeah.
It's really nice. Thank you.
No worries. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Honestly, the fact that like you've flown out, you've come all this way. It's been such an interesting chat. Honestly, it's been like one of my favourite chats I've had on the podcast. It's super interesting. Oh. And you're so easy to talk to. I could sit and chat to you for hours. We could sit all day and talk. But yeah, all good things must come to an end.
Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No worries, honestly.
Really nice. I was nervous because I've never done anything like this.
Yeah, it's like the first time I've ever done anything like this.
So I feel like I'm always like moving and everything because I'm so nervous. But
everyone's the same. Everyone's always a little bit nervous at first, and then you soon people want to stay. It's like we're gotta go.
I was having fun.
Yeah, good stuff.
Let's keep doing it.
Where can people find you, Ella?
Instagram. Yep. At Ella.Guerreiro.
Okay. Easy spelling. I'll put it on the screen.
Yeah. I say Ella.Guerreiro. And then same on my website is ellaguerreiro.com.
Yeah. Again, I'll pop it on the screen so people can check it out.
Thank you.
And I'll pop it in the footnotes for the audio listeners. But just once again, Ella, thank you so much.
Thank you.